Charlie.
Hello, Kevin. I'm not so sure I'm that much of an expert, but carry on.
Well, what was the last time you went into a field after the pub, etc.? Now, listen, this is, you know, it's a great story. It's
Great.
fun to read, but there's something sort of a bit unsavoury about it. I mean, I can't remember reading before or hearing before about a member of the royal family's sex life in such gory details.
No, you're absolutely right. But I am personally very, very disappointed, Kevin, that the woman, the older woman who took his virginity, it was not a Mrs. Robinson character, something like out of The Graduate.
Yeah.
I was expecting, you know, a woman 35, 40, as I'm not saying she's old, but older than a 16, 17-year-old. And it turns out we've got young Sasha Walpole, who was celebrating her 19th birthday and was given
in style
was given a sympathy night of pleasure because her ex walked into the pub with his new girlfriend, which is that simple. And the other interesting thing is that from that point, she has never spoken to Harry. She's never texted Harry. The first time she's heard about any of this is when her friends recently, after the publication of Spare Thing, rang her up and said, "Oh, you're in Harry's book." So, and it's interesting that as well that you know, she said it lasted 15 minutes. Well, apparently the walk to the field was 7 minutes and the walk back was 7 minutes. So that left a minute for the occasion. But yeah. Another interesting point is that both the Sun and the Mail on Sunday have got interviews with this lady, equal interviews, which says to me, and I'm sure you'll agree, Kevin, that this is a story that not one of them, each of them, could afford to buy outright. Yeah. They have shared this, and she has earned, I would suggest, at least £250,000 out of all this. That is a huge amount of money for something like this. Great amount of money. 17 pages of all this stuff. 17 pages on a Sunday. It's a great way to spend your Sunday.
Yeah, it's the old system. If the viewers aren't familiar with it, when you get the Sunday papers, when they do a buy-up, in other words, they do a contract with someone for an exclusive interview. Sometimes you get one of these people, it's of such a magnitude and they're charging such a lot of money that a paper like the Sun on Sunday will do a deal with a paper like the Mail on Sunday because they're in different markets and they'll share the spoils. So you're right, Sasha Walpole has got a very nice payday for herself here. But the subtext of her interview is the reason she's done this, and we should give her some credit. I mean, this is, 21 years ago. All these years, she's never spoken to this. You know, she basically had it off with a member of the royal family, took Harry's virginity. Quite a story. She's never sold it, never told of it, never sold it. But she sold it now because she basically saw a spare and said, well, if he's going to talk about it, so am I.
Yeah, and I suspect that one of the friends who clearly knew what had gone on has finally twigged that she is the one who took Harry's virginity. Now, they may have contacted the paper then contacted her, and they've done a deal. And you know, best of luck to the lady. She's swelled her bank account. It's not bad for a digger driver and someone who used to work in a knicker factory.
Yes, I mean, we should stress, because I've seen the video as well of her talking, and I don't say this, you know, in any derogatory sense, but she's not from the upper classes. No. I mean, very much a local girl, isn't she?
She is a local girl, and she was a groom at Highgrove when he was just Prince Charles. She worked as a groom, and of course she attended all the polo matches. And the pictures as well that we've seen of him leaning against a car with 3 young girls, and I have to say the picture agency that puts it out, I'm sure that the photographer who took that picture wouldn't have known what on earth was going on. Will earn quite a bit of money out of that as well. I mean, but this is a great script for a comedy show. You know, digger driver, knicker elastic, member of the royal family, a quickie in a field, back to the pub, downing all the tequila.
You couldn't make it up, could you? You really couldn't make it up. And let's point this out, Sasha. Sasha, I called you Sasha.
I'm Charlie, but you carry on.
Charlie, yeah. Well, I've always called you Sasha, as you know that. Charlie, that Sasha, if you read the book, you know, as you quite rightly said, you had images of a Mrs. Robinson, you know,
sure.
A sort of mother or something, you know, a much, much older woman took him into a field and taught him the facts of life, as it were. But in fact, Sasha Walpole, although older than Harry, marginally older, is younger than Meghan.
And Meghan, yeah, staggering, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's got the whole gamut of, as I say, of a great script, a TV script somewhere along the lines. It's just marvelous stuff. And as I say, 17 pages over the two newspapers, and that's not too bad considering that in the book Spare, Harry devoted just a one paragraph episode in that book, and of course that's off the hunt for the mystery woman.
Yeah, I mean, good luck to Sasha. And I hope she spends the money well. It is a fun story to have a read. So that's in the Sun on Sunday and the Mail on Sunday today. Moving on, Charlie, I was struck by a story I read around about this time last week or earlier in the week that the Prince Andrew, Virginia Giuffre saga. Yeah. We know that his alleged £12 million deal to stop Virginia going to court to sue him for allegedly sexually assaulting her on 3 different continents, charges that he absolutely vehemently denies. But we all say, well, if you didn't do it, why did you give her 12 million quid? Anyway, we were stunned. We were discussing this time last week. We were stunned that that deal for her silence, if you like, was only for a year. That's about to end, and apparently she's going to write a book. But Prince Andrew apparently has let it be known to her that if you mention these alleged sexual assaults again, I will sue you. He says he will sue her for $100 million. 2 things about that. I wonder if he ever will. And if he did, would that be wise? Because it would just rehash the story. And especially if he lost.
Well, let's be honest, Kevin. The last thing Andrew wants to do is to get into a court at any point whatsoever with this lady, because you know, she's already won. He's paid the money, and he's contacted lawyers in the States to issue a statement to her, or a warning, or whatever you want to call it, to cease mentioning any sexual accusations that she may or may not make in this book. And as you quite rightly say, we're coming to the end of the year-long ban on any conversation on it. But I mean, I don't understand what Andrew's on about. I mean, he's had a huge payout from the Queen's estate. Yeah. And he's going to waste this money in trying to pull back these accusations. And I don't see, he's not produced any new evidence. The fact that he and his people and his friends are trying to pour trouble on that picture of them in the bath, you know, this famous picture.
Yeah, that ridiculous thing they let out last week.
And also the picture of him with his arm around her. Well, that's pretty well established that is a genuine picture. Yeah. And there's no question about that. He may, and his people may jump up and down and everything else about that picture, but it's a genuine picture.
And what about the fact that, as Camilla Long wrote in the Sunday Times this time last week, look, they proved that you can't get 2 people into Ghislaine Maxwell's bath by putting 2 people into Ghislaine Maxwell's bath. That's right. I mean, it shot down their theory that this couldn't have happened. It proved it could have happened.
Yes,
what were they thinking?
Yes, it could have happened, and we have to remember as well that any suggestions of sex in the bath didn't happen. The sex didn't happen in the bath.
Yeah.
The sex allegedly happened in one of the bedrooms.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Don't you love it when the royals get themselves in trouble?
Here we are. Now we're talking about more of their sex lives. Yeah. Apparently it was toe fiddling or something in the bath, and that moved on to full sex.
It was toe sucking, which we know
it's very much a part of Andrew's life, isn't it? You know, what with him and Fergie. But even if it was sex, you know, okay, didn't look that comfortable, but sex could have been had in that bath by two people, couldn't it?
There's two people got in the bath, so there's no question that two people. And what I don't understand is, during all the kerfuffle, you know, many months ago, before the settlement, we actually had one set of lawyers who'd actually put two lawyers in that bath, fully clothed, to show that two people could get in that bath. It's an old chestnut now.
And finally, as a man of the press, your thoughts on their idea to promote this picture that they staged last week. It ended up on the front page of the Telegraph by putting masks, a mask of Prince Andrew on one figure and a mask of Virginia Giuffre on the other. That was one of the worst publicity own goals I've ever seen.
It is, and it's again comes from the school. You couldn't make it up, could you? I mean, what on earth? You've got two people sitting in a bath to try to prove that two people couldn't get in the bath, but they're in the bath, and then you put two masks of the main protagonists on each of the faces, and you just look at it. When I first saw it, I thought, somebody's done this. This is a joke, haven't they? And this is Ian Maxwell. This is Ghislaine Maxwell's brother has produced this picture in a stupid attempt, a stupid PR attempt.
Stupid, yeah.
You know, to try and help, not even trying to help his sister, because she's still from a prison cell. She's still bleating on about the fact that the original picture, is fake.
Yeah.
And as are Andrew's friends and ex-girlfriends.
Yeah.
And they're going down a very, very wrong road.
Yeah, I don't think, as I think you and I discussed this time last week, there's been Andrew announced about 2-3 weeks ago, there's a mate, we're just looking at the
picture again.
It's just ridiculous.
Every time I see it, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but he announced, this was the game-changing development that he announced 3 weeks ago, that he said would clear his name.
Yeah.
It's done quite the reverse, and also with the imminent publication of Virginia Giuffre's book, he is in more trouble than ever before, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's definitely in more trouble. And it just goes to, you can imagine how the king must be feeling. You know, he's got his brother who is embroiled in all this sexual accusations, which he denies, as you quite rightly said. You've got all this, and he's trying to organise his coronation, and he's still got problems with his younger son as well, who I'm sure will be at the coronation, but it's just...
Yeah. Do you think, imagine the King Charles probably going, Harry, stay out of fields, and you, Andrew, don't get in the bath. You know, that'll sort the problems out. Charlie, great to talk to you.